Everyone says storytelling is important, but what kind of storytelling are we talking about? Because for me, the deepest level of the storytelling is when they are part of this story. It doesn't matter it's a bar, it's a restaurant, or it doesn't matter if you are doing a competition, a presentation. You have a limited time, and then how do you bring those people into your story to make them feel some emotions? Because we always say people remember what they feel, not what they drink.
Welcome to Party of Six, the pulse of bars and restaurants, where every month we bring you an international panel who discusses topics important to everyone in the bar and restaurant industry, dives deep into issues, and has some fun along the way. Make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a review. Also, feel free to share this episode and all our episodes with your friends. Today on Party of Six, we're going to be talking all about evolution, personal evolution, business evolution, and those pivots and changes you make in your life. We also have a fantastic guest joining us today, who I will introduce in just one second. Joining us today is Cliff Crider of Stinger Compliance and Truck and Taff, Aoife Halliday of the Ruckus Group and Barmetrics, Minakshi Singh of Sidecar, Cocktails and Dreams, The Brook and the India Bartender Show, Dave Nitzel of Dave and Dave Consulting, me, Chris Schneider of the Bar Business Podcast and the Bar Business Coach, and our special guest today is Katalin Bene. She is the former manager of the Gibson in London, the former manager of Voodoo Reyes in Geneva, and currently the founder and creative director of Blend and Bond Consulting in Geneva, where she works all over Europe doing some really cool stuff. And if you haven't seen her, go look at her Instagram. There's a bunch of cool things on there. I was watching right before we started. Kat, thank you so much for being here today. Hopefully I did not botch your introduction too much, but because I feel like everybody knows who we are, go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about you, because you're new to the show.
Well, first of all, thank you for the invitation. Hi, everyone. I'm Kat. I currently live in Switzerland, actually, but originally I'm from Transylvania, Romania, and not many people know that about me. Not much to say. I'm just gonna wait for your questions because I don't wanna talk about myself, introduce myself too much.
We want to know about you. So I'm just going to ask you straight up a question then, which is this, because one of the things we wanted to talk about today was really about evolution. Because I know I've been through some business evolutions recently. Cliff has been through some business evolutions recently. And I know your story, shameless plug for Dave, if you go read Hospitality DNA, your story's in there, and he does a really good job at telling it. But your story is a story of evolution, right? Moving all over Europe, finding these different places, really growing in the industry as you move. So how does someone from Romania end up at one of the top bars in London, and then one of the top bars in Geneva, and then end up in consulting? How does that arc even happen? Because I feel like that's pretty unique in the world.
Well, it's all happened during, I think, almost 20 years. I'm just a small town girl from Transylvania. It's a little village where we say even the bus turns around. I didn't speak Romanian back then, actually, because I'm a Hungarian minority from a Hungarian minorities group. And I just went to study. I knew I want to go away because I could imagine my life there. So I accidentally ended up in a bar because I was just looking for a job. And I think everything else just happened from there. Like, I really fell in love with the bar industry. I love bartending, making drinks, hosting people. For me, it was always about the people. I think it really was like super special for me, meeting new people, taking care of them, seeing them happy. So I always wanted to be better and better. Honestly, in Romania back then, I was one of the first girls in the bar, because even today the ads go like we're hiring waitresses and barmen. So there are still more girls now, but back 20 years ago it was super rare. And me being a Hungarian minority, a woman and queer, it was definitely not like a wild card for me. So there was a bit of struggle, and instead of victimizing myself, I think I just decided that I want to be the best. I don't know. I want to know the spirits. I want to be blind tasting things and make cocktails and have great techniques, and just learned everything I could alone. And that's how I learned English as well. Dave knows that already. I told him my story. I read Joy of Mixology from Gary Regan, and that's how I learned English, basically. Ended up in London because at one point I met Marian Beke, the owner of Gibson, at an event in Romania, and he just straight offered me a job. And I was like, oh my God, like, how can I get this opportunity? It was insane for me, but I tried to keep my cool and not tell him anything. And then I just contacted him in a week and said like, oh, thank you so much. Is it still valid? Like, uh, in the beginning, I supposed to work at Niger, and in the end, he said like he's gonna open the Gibson, and I had to wait another year. But yeah, I just ended up straight in London in one of the best bars, and um, I also asked myself many times like, how did I get this? But I guess if you work hard and just it's you versus you, at one point you just get somewhere. It's not possible to stay in one place.
Did you end up in Niger first and then the Gibson?
No. So originally he wanted to hire me for Niger, but then he made the plans to open the Gibson. So he told me like if I don't mind, because it's not nice to bring someone and then you leave and then you take your stuff. Like he was very professional. So he told me if I don't mind waiting. Of course I didn't mind waiting. And I waited 1 year and I didn't tell anyone I'm gonna go work there. And then just at one point, someone posted, I think, something about us behind the bar, and everyone went crazy back home. Like, what are you doing there? People didn't even know that I'm there.
Amazing.
But that was, I can say, that was also kind of like a payback time for me, because, as I said, I was often pushed on the side, or I never won local competitions. I was always second place. It was like a lot of funny things happening back then. And like the first time I went abroad, I won a competition in Netherlands for Romania, actually. Then first time I went to work abroad, I became the bar manager of the Gibson. So I guess it was a nice feeling to just be there and feel more empowered and just prove everyone wrong, even though I don't have to prove anyone anything. It just feels good still.
Bit about your story, so I have a bit of a head start on the group. And today, talking about career evolution, I love the fact that look, you're a small town girl. You're kind of in the middle of nowhere. You don't have the odds are stacked against you. But I like that you say, "Hey, I'm not gonna be a victim," because really, no one's coming to save you or any of us, right? You kind of have to make your way with a close group of hopefully friends and support and that sort of thing. Was there a way that you saw or identified opportunities and you said, "Hey, I'm just going to go for it"? Like I've been fortunate to sort of watch your career progression over the last, I don't know, 7, 8 years or whatever. So I see the movement and I see the progression. Do you have a way of thinking about your career, or is it more instinctive where, do you see an opportunity, it's a good one and you take it, or is it more well thought out? Like with going to London, you saw an opportunity, you took it, but you had a little bit of a plan or a hope aligned with that. Can you speak to that a little bit?
So yeah, it's not instinctive. I have to say that I don't really follow my instincts. I always make a plan for the next 3 years, and then I write down every single detail, and then whatever decision I make, I just think about my plan. Does it help me get there? No, then it's a distraction. That's how I basically made every single decision in my life. I really wanted to go and work for London. And guess what? Marian was one of my idols. When I studied in Niger, was I think second best bar or third or something like that back then. And I saw their menu and I was like, oh my God, like I don't understand half of these things. And I still didn't speak very well English. So I honestly cried because I thought that I am at a certain level, and I was, but still it made me like upset of myself, and I was like, no, I'm not good enough. It was like, wake up girl, keep pushing. And I made a plan. My plan was to only learn in English from that moment, because if I ever get an opportunity in London or a job interview, if they talk to me, ask me about some ingredients, some techniques, or anything related to the bar, I won't know the answer, not because I don't know it, but because I don't understand it. That's not good. And the second thing was learning absolutely everything I could, even without money, because I don't know if I told you there, like I didn't have my family supporting me since I was 18, since I left from home. So I was just by myself and I couldn't afford buying shakers, books, or anything. I basically had like a small Samsung phone, and at the work on the Wi-Fi, I just downloaded absolutely everything from Google, everything I could for free. And that's how I studied. And yeah, like I learned every day. My rule was minimum 30 minutes a day. Most of the time was more. But imagine all my lunch breaks, all my like after shift while people were having beers after their work. I used to like have my small notebooks and I was reading books, and people were making fun of me very often. But now they are like some people telling me today that there was a guy who worked at the place in Cluj where I used to work, and he was like, Katalin, you don't even know what you did. Whenever I was like feeling down, or I was telling them like this is too much, they were telling me like, what is this too much? Katalin was reading a whole book about pepper and you think this is too much? So I was always the example of it's possible. And yeah, so they couldn't even complain because of me.
That's incredible. I have a bunch of questions, but everyone's got to get a turn.
Yeah, I want to definitely, Katalin, firstly start with what an amazing journey, absolutely inspiring, and everything that you've just said. I'm like so interested in hearing all of this in so much more detail. But a little bit more on maybe your experience of Gibson. Of course, you said that you dreamt of this, break that you got, career break, the experience being in a big city like London. Of course, the experience would have been monumental, I'm assuming, to you at your experience. But if you could share a little bit more about what was that like, maybe a year or two that you were there, and how did you then, end up getting in the leadership role, and of course, winning all the things that you won after that?
But to be honest, I went to Gibson and I didn't know what position I'm gonna work at, and I didn't know my salary. I didn't know where I'm gonna stay. So I just moved to London because Marianne told me 2 weeks before opening, like, oh, I'm opening in 2 weeks. Can you come? And I was like, yes, I will come. So I packed everything in 2 suitcases and I moved to London and stayed on a couch with a friend until I found a flat. And then the first months I was basically just doing all the preps, all the shopping, and organizing all the recipes and everything behind the scenes. And 3 months after, Marianne asked me like, hey, do you want to be the bar manager? And I was like, Marianne, I'm not sure, to be honest. Like, don't think I'm ready for this. And then he told me like, well, either you take it now or maybe you won't have the opportunity because someone else will come and take this position. And I was like, okay, well, let me think about it. And then next day I accepted it. And to be honest, it was a trip. I did basically almost the same things, but it just went on a larger scale. I think the Gibson was not a typical bar experience because everything was on the very extremes, like 44 drinks, everything homemade, everything made on the spot, no pre-batching, one station. It was like crazy garnishes and everything. And I think it just at one point I felt like it's not me. And I think in like 1 year, like especially we got the sixth best bar in the world title, and I just started to feel like I'm kind of like on autopilot. That I cannot say I'm burnout because I don't really understand even today what burnout means, because I don't know that we are not allowed to be burnout, right? But I guess I was kind of like empty inside. That's how I would describe it now. I was lost. I was in a bubble and I wasn't happy with myself and where I am as a person or as a professional. Even when everyone sees outside the titles and the awards and all that, it's not just to this. For me, as I said, the work is more about people, and I just felt like I need to do more, or I need to do something else. And so I quit. And everyone thought I'm crazy because I moved to Switzerland after this experience, because the investors of Gibson were living in Switzerland. So they offered me the opportunity to do Voodoo Reyes, actually. Like they asked me, like, would you like to come and manage, do this bar in Switzerland? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Let's go. I just need a better work-life balance. I need to find myself. And I'm from Transylvania, from the mountains, with a lot of bears and forests. So I was like, Switzerland sounds like home. So I could get used to that, and I don't regret it. I think it was, in the eye of others, was a big step back, but for me was the biggest step forward, actually, because everything happened and shaped my career was actually after that point. So most of people don't even know that I worked at the Gibson. They just meet me for me, and then maybe at one point they find out, but I don't usually talk about it a lot. For me, it's not like something like it adds to my value. Like for me, it's always like, do you like me for who I am or not? And if you don't like me, no problem. Like, not everyone has to like me, which is again a result of me moving to Switzerland and finding myself. Because as I said, I don't have to please anyone. I just have to be me and just do what's best for me and go for whatever I want to go for.
Amazing.
Wow.
How long were you in London in total, Kat? I think you and I may have crossed paths because we were in London at the same time.
Okay.
I laughed very hard at the sofa, arriving and sleeping on a sofa, because everybody that I ever knew that worked in the bar with me and myself, we all landed with a backpack and slept on a sofa for a couple of weeks when we arrived in London in the early 2000s.
I stayed, I think, almost 3 years in London. I did events after the Gibson, so I still stayed a little bit and I did like some nice events and just I did a lot of sports, tried to eat healthy and try to like get back to me, and then I moved to Switzerland. But yeah, I didn't want to stay because for me it was like great for career because the London standards are like absolutely, for me it's like at the top level. So if you bartend, for example, 20 years in Romania or 2 years in London, the 2 years in London in a good bar will still crush the 20 years in Romania, for example. So it was really great to like put all my standards at the top level. But overall, I felt like I'm in a machine, like a cog in a machine. I think it's not, I mean, I could do that, but it's not because I'm weak. It's because I just still want to be happy, and I just really want to do what I love, and I like to go to work and, like be happy I'm there. I love my job. So the moment someone has to like think about it, like, oh, I'm not happy or I'm not going to work, like I don't love my job anymore, maybe, or I stop learning or I stop being curious, I think this is the time to leave this, and when you are comfortable, because when you're comfortable again, it's maybe time to leave as a bartender.
Yeah, I think that's the key to most evolution in careers as well too. That when you stop learning or you stop growing or you're feeling suffocated in a way, then it's the next stage of the evolution.
Yes, and anyways, we're never ready, right? Like I still do the 30 minutes rule. Even today, I'm 39-year-old. I turned last week 39. So I still keep learning and I still keep like looking for things. So the evolution never stops. I think it actually gets harder. The more you know, the more you realize how much you don't know. And it's just an endless loop, I think. The important is not just to stick with drinks and ingredients, but like look, grow, and make a plan. I made a plan, like also consciously about my career, because you cannot bartend all your life. I mean, you could, but maybe I want more. I think that's something what always shaped me, even as a small town girl. Like I knew I want more than just being a good wife that is told what to do and smiles through everything and cannot have needs or cannot have a say in anything. Like I just knew I want more. I cannot live like that. I wanted to explore and to see as much as I could, and nothing stopped me. Like moving to the city in Romania, I had to learn Romanian, and moving to London, I had to learn English because otherwise I wouldn't get the job. Moving to Geneva, well, I had to learn French. Guess what? Because French is the official language in that part, and it's just doesn't end.
Can I ask you one last question about your time in and around London? Did you ever drink tequilas at Casita?
In London, no, I didn't go anywhere in London. To be honest, I visited maybe like 6 bars in the area because I was always working. So I used to sleep 2-3 hours a night. I remember from this, sometimes the 1 hour was on the night bus until I got home, and just getting home, shower, get ready my shirts, and in the morning I just got up and put on everything and I left. So there was never food in my fridge. There was like nothing else. I just push my limits and I don't regret it. It was still a good experience, a good learning experience, and it also shaped me who I am.
Cliff, do you have
It's
any
like being in
questions?
army.
I mean, I just think it's outstanding the curve of what you did. I mean, because we've got 50, 60, 70, 80 employees, and they're mostly in their 20s, some are in their 30s and 40s. But the evolution of watching them either go off to nursing school, go off to do construction, stay in the business, it's just. But my God, to only sleep 3 hours, that's just incredible. I mean, so good for you. I mean, this was no accident. You've got so much passion. You're picking up. I mean, sometimes I'll give books away and people don't read them. I mean, you're just devouring all the knowledge that you can. So, you're not going off to culinary school in Paris and learning about pepper. You're reading about pepper,
Yeah.
probably buying pepper and tasting it.
Yes, everything. I really try everything I can. The weirdest things. I'm gonna try it.
So,
I'm
so
not
tell
scared.
me, I love that. So because we're a little bit more of a dive bar. I mean, we try to do what we do, but in a good way. But I mean, the other day I bought a couple of grapefruit juices from the store because I was not really happy with the grapefruit juice we have, and some of it just tastes like ass. I mean, it was just horrible. In a can, 100% grapefruit juice, but it just tastes horrible. And then you got this other stuff we're all using. It's grapefruit juice, but it's not. It's called Splash. It's got water, sugar, grapefruit juice out. So
Acids and all.
yeah, and so
Yeah.
no one's really tasting this stuff. Oh, people are ordering it. No one's complaining, but so that's our level of blind tasting is going to the store and taking a couple of grapefruit juices. How much of all that, how much of blind tasting goes into what you do and what you learn and what you know about ingredients?
I think it's one of the most important parts because you can read all the books. Like in Romania, I used to actually where I'm from, I didn't even know grapefruit. I didn't know green tea. I didn't know ginger. I didn't know anything because it's like such a small village that we used to grow and eat what we harvested. So it was like a super now everyone calls sustainability like a large hot topic in the industry. For me, it's common sense to go forage, pick herbs, that's your medicine, and grow your seeds and into something and then harvest and then grind it and make bread from it and so on, so on. For me, sustainability is common sense. Otherwise, you die, you starve. So reading all these books basically you can read about all these fruits or anything, but if you never try them, never taste them, you don't know what's the texture, you don't know the aromas. Like you can't read that. You need to taste it. And that was actually one of the reasons, another reasons I wanted to move to London because you could find everything there. I could find actually mangoes, Alfonso mangoes straight from India. And I was like, oh my God, this is something incredible. I still remember it. And, I developed something through the years that you can tell me any given ingredient and I know I taste it already. Like I taste it and I know the texture. Even like combinations of things. It can be food, it can be drinks. I just read it and I know the combination. I can taste it. It's a weird thing.
So what surprised you? It's interesting from coming from a small farming community. When you went to London on the taste level, what surprised you the most? I mean, you mentioned mango, you mentioned ginger, but what did you taste that you went, oh my God, what's this?
I think the peppers, I love peppers, like I peppercorns, right? So like I was reading about all these peppers from this book and then I had the chance to finally taste them. So like the Himalaya pepper or I don't know, Kampot pepper, alligator pepper, like there's like so many types of peppers and I was like, oh my God, like this small spice, it's a pepper and how different it can be and how like powerful and then I always say I'm like a pepper, like small but powerful.
So is there a pepper that goes well in a certain drink, or is there a pepper liqueur that you like using? Like, 'cause I know there's ancho reyes, which is, I think, can't remember what kind of pepper that is, but I mean the pepper, because we'll do a spicy margarita, and it really, I mean, sometimes, like, again, we just throw some hot pepper in there and call it that. But I mean, there has to be a culinary way of making a nice cool pepper that is a little more aromatic, that's not so hot.
Yeah, well, sorry, I was speaking about peppercorn, which is also hot
Right.
and can be hot and spicy as well. But same goes for pepper. I also love peppers, the green one. Sorry, in my language, pepper is for the peppercorn, and then
Pepper
I
is
always
pepper, yeah.
forget to specify it. You can distill. For example, he doesn't distill, so if you distill ancho chilies, then you can have all this green vegetable taste without having the very like a hot sensation. But I have to say, I pushed so much, and I keep trying and prepping and doing crazy things. But for me, as I said, it's all about people. So I really changed my perspective since we spoke, Dave. Because already when you are bar manager, you have to deal with the staff, and you need to make sure that they understand what you expect from them. You can always speak about what is most important is how people feel in your bar, right? But if we are not able to teach that, and also it's so abstract, like how do we teach it? How can I train someone to make someone have memorable experiences? It's not just what we are doing, right? It's not just making the drinks and these ingredients. And I have to say, in the past maybe 5 years, this is the topic I really dig myself into. And this is also the reason I did my startup, because it's still kind of like a startup. Because some months I have clients, some months I don't have clients, and then I told Dave when he asked me if I'd like to join, I said, like, well, Dave, honestly, I'm not in a high point right now, because I'm just having a startup. So I'm just a girl, like, trying again to find a way. And but yeah, I think
What you're saying is like the industry right now probably is going through what you are talking about. And, like I feel the evolution is across the board, and you can hear this in all the rooms now. Like it's great to get into ingredients and taste and travel and all of that. But what do you do with all that knowledge, right? Is that transpiring? Is that experience transpiring to just you? Is it your ego? Are you satisfying your knowledge of pepper, or is the guest in front of you excited about
exactly, yeah.
pepper as well? So I feel like we are all in the same, we end up becoming in these echo chambers, and that is a typical any industry situation that happens, right? You pick up a book and suddenly somebody's geeking out on bubbles constantly, and you're like, oh, amazing, aeration is so important. And I remember like a year ago I was mad about aeration, and then I realized it's fine. It's just, it's one element of
Yes,
something that you got to do, but the larger picture is this what
the
you're doing
experience,
and
no?
what you're talking. Yeah. So I feel like that's where the industry is at, and you're constantly now hearing how important it is to deliver the experience. And drinks will always be, here and there.
Drinks.
Sometimes, you know what I mean, like things.
Yes, well, that's why I shifted the discussion to this as well, because maybe I didn't want you to get the wrong impression of me just being the geek. I'm still a geek, but for me, as I say, the people in the whole experience is more important. Like, you can just give a simple classic, but everything else is so amazing that a guest will always remember you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Cliff, I mean, I think we are going back to the dive bars, going back for the experience bit. And, you're right smack dab in the middle of that. So what you're
Yeah.
doing right now is like you are simplifying the experience. And I think that is what right now consumers and guests are looking for, simplification rather than complex experiences.
Yes.
So I think a lot of that is happening right now as we speak of evolution. I think we all are
Yeah.
going. I think, Caitlin, when you said you did this earlier, of course, that was the way you've come to this, right? That was your journey, which
Of course, yes. Like, it's like a loop. So you go through something, and then you realize, like, oh, there is always a bigger picture, because there is always a bigger picture. It's never just what you see. You just need to open your perspectives all the time and look at the bigger picture. And the more you can put yourself in the guest's place or in other people's place, the more you can see and more you understand.
So there
yeah.
are a few things that have really struck me through the last few minutes of this conversation. One is when you're talking about evolution, right? And how you kind of had to bounce from thing to thing. Because I look around at everybody. I don't know that any of us have done the same thing for more than like 3 or 4 years before we're like, "Ah, this is boring. We're gonna go do something else." Right? Because all of us have done probably more than most people would think about, but I think that's part of potentially achieving success in the world, right? Is to be able to go out there, do a whole bunch of different things, realize what you're good at, realize what you're not, and play to that. The other piece that's really struck me is this, and I want to get more into this move towards people. Because I feel like not only to Meenakshi's point, the industry is doing that, but I also feel like a lot of us have done that in that everything is really, really cool and interesting. But at the end of the day, right, hospitality only works because you take care of people. And that's something that I've talked to a lot of other folks outside of this group recently that came up in the 80s and the 90s and the 70s, like older people in the industry. And a lot of them are like, yeah, back then it was all about people. And then we kind of got into how cool we are. And now we're going back to it's all about people. Because how cool we are was really fun, right? It was really fun to rediscover cocktails and techniques and ingredients, and especially in America, where I think the 70s bar, it was like, do you want a Jack and Coke or Miller Lite? Like there were two options. They were both kind of suck. It was really fun for us to evolve, but now we're kind of coming away from that because we can take that piece and what we've learned and move on to the people. And then the final thing I just want to throw out there, the fact that you go, hey, I'm kind of new to consulting, and sometimes I have clients and sometimes I don't, is like the most relatable thing in the world as someone who does consulting. 'Cause I
I
will
know.
I swear to you, Dave and I had this conversation, like, last week on the phone, where I'm like, "Dave, sometimes I'm, like, really rolling in it, and sometimes I'm eating ramen because 'cause I'm broke because nobody hires me this month."
Mhm.
And so it is the most relatable thing, and I think it's something that a lot of people forget, like, when they listen to this podcast, right? They watch us and they go, "These guys are they must have all these clients, they must be just" like, we're just kinda small business people that are kinda struggling one day after the other, trying to fit a bunch of different pieces together to make some money. And it's not, this isn't an industry, whether it's on the bartending side, the bar ownership side, the consulting side, like anything around bars, you cannot do this for money, right? You have to do it for love. And sometimes if you do it for love, you can make the money. But if you do it for money, I feel like you always fail and you're always disappointed.
100%.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, Kat, about the about your venture into coaching and consulting and sort of what you hope to get out of that. And frankly, everyone here is a coach or a consultant in some form or fashion. All of us are. So, could you tell us a little bit about that evolution? Like, where are you right now, and what type of coaching that you aspire to do, and how big and famous and powerful do you want to get?
Where are you in the 3-year plan for the coaching?
I am actually halfway. That's a good question. I'm really halfway. For me, the biggest challenge was finding what makes me different. Because if you look at, let's say, LinkedIn, you see 1 million consultants. Okay, so what is something that I am good at and I can change or I can help and I can really solve a problem, and I'm not gonna just knock on a door and offer, I don't know, menu design, a concept. And as I said, for me, I noticed something during the years. It was exactly what I talked about. It's like, how do you train your staff? How do you teach them to make sure that the guest experience is what you imagined as an owner or as a manager? And actually, that's how I ended up with Costin in Bucharest, because you know Costin was also featured in this book. For me, Costin is like a mastermind, and for me, he's also like a business mentor in the same time, because we are kind of two crazy, creative ADHD people. Like when we speak, no one understands us because we are in our completely in our words. And I just realized like when he talks to his staff, he really comes and tells them what he expects, and he explains things to them and presentations and everything. And I realized like, but Costin, like they don't understand. Like it's like for them, you speak in a code, they don't have the keys for this code. Like they don't understand it. So what I'm doing is basically translating a vision and making them immeasurable format. Like I work with like one of the things is I noticed that the guests are always like in a passive position. Whenever you go to a restaurant or to a bar, you're just being served. Like they show you this cool cocktail or this Michelin plate, or there is something that you just experience it by eating it or drinking it, right? So for me, the biggest change is like, how do we make an active part in our story? Because everyone says storytelling is important, but what kind of storytelling are we talking about? Because for me, the deepest level of the storytelling is when they are part of this story. You bring them in. It doesn't matter it's a bar, it's a restaurant, or it doesn't matter if you are doing a competition, a presentation. You have a limited time, and then how do you bring those people into your story to make them feel some emotions? Because we always say people remember what they feel, not what they drink, and there is a very famous saying, right? But like, how do we get there? And I have a way of designing, measuring, and creating experiences that actually get to this result. And I can also teach them and make the people feel it so they can actually deliver it. And that's something I do differently. And it doesn't matter it's a Negroni or is it a very, I don't know, Rotovap cocktail or whatever we are delivering. It's just about, it's the whole experience, like what gets to the guest, what they feel. And because, for example, surprise is very important. And surprise, whenever we surprise someone with something, we just break the autopilot. So that's what makes things, like for them, things a bit more memorable. But there is like a whole level of elements that I work on, and I make sure those are there. And then I know I can measure it, and I can also deliver it. I can train it, and it's proven already that it works. So it's not just a theory, but it's been proven in multiple forms, and it always gets to a wow moment. But now, you know what my biggest struggle is? How can I make people understand what I'm doing when actually you need to feel it? So I can pitch it and I can send you videos and presentations and do everything, but it's very, very hard even to explain it because you must feel it and you must experience it in order to see actually. But it's really changing everything. You can have the best concept in a bar, and if you're missing some of the elements, it's incomplete.
I'll tell you one thing right now. When you said surprise, I never ever would have thought about that as an ingredient in a cocktail, right? So I can just see a cocktail being delivered to somebody and somebody being surprised at either the glass, the presentation, the condiment, the way it's layered, the way it tastes. I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, you said it right there, surprise.
I
It didn't
wrote that
take me
down too.
anything. It didn't take me a second, but to go, that's pretty cool. So yeah, I'm gonna have to put that in my little steal that if I can.
And
Yeah, well,
it could be anything, right, Kat? Like, does it
can
have
be.
to be the cocktail? It could be a
No.
surprise by
It's
way
the
of
whole experience.
yeah. Okay.
It's the whole. I like to incorporate elements in all the touch points, like from the website or the moment you step in, what the host is telling you, or how do you get to your table, what are the elements guiding you, because we cannot just explain. One of our mistakes is that we create so complicated concepts that we need to stop in the service and explain to people what our concept is. And if we are doing this, we are wrong. It's not working, the concept. The concept should be something the people automatically, slowly discover. They become curious from the start and they want to explore it. And then you just come with these little elements and surprises and stories that actually it's going to make sense in their head. And then when they realize what your concept is and they have this aha moment, that's when you do it right, because that is when the experience becomes more powerful.
Yeah, and they're like
Awesome.
conversation starters as well, right? Like there's I think you lead with the curiosity of your guest rather than, your own information that you have. It's like a
Exactly.
load moment, right? You don't need to, the minute somebody comes in, you don't have to kickstart with my menu is this and this and this and this. And suddenly you do feel, I was at a, not naming the bar, I was at a bar where we went to catch up with a friend and they gave me and I was just there to catch up with a friend. And suddenly what happened was that the server came and they asked me like 4 different kinds of water options. And immediately my friend is like, oh God, this is already very tiring. Like, Why do I have to select so, like, I know I spend my all day, and that is when psychologically I understood these are the mistakes our industry is probably making. We are overcomplicating, like just serving water. Why does it have to be I have this water, I have that water, I have this, like this is just basic single line question, and and it doesn't need that much of information. And I feel like
Yeah.
the time the guest asks what kind of water do you have, or do you have option, or that's where I feel like we have to understand the lean into the guest's curiosity, or their needs more. And I feel, again, be better listeners. And I feel like we've stopped being really great listeners. And I feel that is something psychologically that has happened to us over the few, I would say, 10 years or so.
You definitely need to listen, and we need to focus on them, ask them questions, but also like the way we design menus. For me, we can be better, we can do better. Like it's been, I don't know, I think 4 or 5 years. I, as a judge for Tales of the Cocktail Spirited Awards, I have to go through all the menus they submit for the best menus, and sometimes I'm like, but some people submit just a book, like a paper with the ingredients, and that's it. And then you think this is the world's best menu. Like, what makes a menu a world's best menu? How do you sell your concept? For me, already, like, your concept or your story or everything has to be reflected in the design of your menu, and already done in a way that is not too complicated, as you say, because you don't go to a bar to get a PhD. You go to a bar to forget about the work, the stress, just have a connection with your friend, and so on, so on. So this is another interesting thing. I actually took the needs of social needs of people, and whenever I create things, I think of them, like, what are the reasons they go in a bar? Because especially now we have so many bars, the competition is so high. Why should people choose my bar, for example? Or why should they choose this bar, or this restaurant? The differences are not the products itself. It's never the food and the drink. How many times did you guys go to a place where the food is not maybe the best, but you just feel good and you always go there? I'm sure you did it as well. I did it
Usually.
many times.
Usually.
Yeah.
And same with the bars. I can just go on a corner, and that's why dive bars work. Because it's not pretentious, that you can be yourself, that you don't need to maybe dress up so fancy, that you can just be free, you can breathe, you don't need to be uptight, and you just enjoy and have fun. And that's exactly the reason why dive bars work.
Yeah.
That's smart. Kat,
But
I
we
think
can make it also in other higher end bars. And I think a lot of people doing great already. Like
I
they
feel like
made
magic.
all.
Yeah, I feel like the magic will be the balance that you're just,
Yes,
you know,
exactly.
you want great drinks in a very comfortable setting, and if you get the two together, you have a winner. And you can see that. I mean, I want to ask you, Kat, in the last few years that you've been around, of course, going to bars and judging and looking at cocktail menus, any memorable menus you want to share with this group and with the audience as well, like the menus that have stuck with you and like have done amazing
Mm.
work, and why so?
I maybe shouldn't speak about it yet, because we are just still in the. Yesterday was the deadline, actually, so I don't know if I can talk about what I like. But I like usually the kind of menus that, let's generalize. I like the menus where there is a little story, where there is not just about the drink itself, but like you see, like the people, you see the concept. It's not just putting fancy ingredients together and trying to be trendy. It's like a kind of like a culture, creating a culture where you are, and you can already see that from a menu. Because if the menu makes me curious and I want to keep looking and discovering, then for me that menu is good. It's a great menu. And then the secondary are the drinks. So first is always the how easy is to understand for guests. Like I always imagine, like, okay, well, this is the world's best menu. Okay, how do I see this as a guest? Is the same goes for the world's best spirit selection, because there is one category for that. And there are some bars that they have hundreds of bottles of booze, and there is no explanation. Like if I go to this bar and you have thousands of bottles of whiskey, let's say, and I don't know too much about whiskey, how can I choose my stuff? Like what I'm gonna order? Of course, I'm gonna order something maybe that I know. just to not, because nobody likes to look uneducated or look stupid. So you're gonna just act and you say, you know what, I'll take this brand. I know it won't fail me, I'm gonna take it. Or maybe you are gonna experiment with something that is in the similar style. But if you don't have instructions or you don't have like a flavor profile or any kind of way of understanding what those brands are, like for me, that's like nothing. You can have 1,000 bottles, or maybe someone has 100 bottles, but they have a menu that really tells about the origin, the who makes it, the flavor profile, how guides you through with the design, like how do you choose your spirit, something that is for you, because we are all different. For me, that's a great spirit menu.
Yeah.
That's when you need it. That's when you need a whiskey wheel. You just go up to the bar with the whiskey wheel. You got 100 whiskeys and you just spin the wheel. And it'll land you in the right
That's
flavor.
the one. And you just pick one. It's like, okay, that's the one.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Or
Yeah, that will be $200 for the for the shot.
Well, yeah, it's like a roulette.
That's the thing, Kat. I've long said that no one, look, personal experience. Like I know a little bit about alcohol, right? I'm in the industry. I know a thing or two. And I think you nailed it. Like with dive bars. Dive bars allow us to feel comfortable. Minakshi gets this too. So Minakshi has sophisticated places, and it could be really easy for her places to fall into that uncomfortable. I feel stupid, but her team and the way they go about it makes you feel infinitely comfortable. And then when you get comfortable, you're more willing to explore and try things because you're not made to feel stupid. Like no one went out and said, let's spend a lot of money on cocktails and feel really uncomfortable doing it, be a little lost in the process. And like in that scenario, what you are thinking, what you're processing is escape. I want to get out of this scenario. You're not going out to have this bad adventure. And I read menus and I know a thing or two, and I read menus and I'm like, I don't know what any of this is. And I'm brave enough that I just I call dealer's choice. I'll say, hey, look, I can't make sense of any of this shit. Just make me something that you think I would like. And then maybe they say to me, do you like sweet? Do you like spicy? Like I get something like that. And I'll say, look, I like sweet. And then I get something like horrifically sweet. Like it doesn't land. And I'm like, oh, great. Like I'm paying super premium to play experiment with you while I don't enjoy myself and made to feel uncomfortable. And so I think if that's where you're going with your consulting business, make sure it's super known. I will say just a couple things and then defer to the rest of the group because it's important to me. For you, being a coach is really hard, as you will learn, as you're learning, as you will never stop learning. A couple quick things. One is you don't sell on LinkedIn. You'll only become known, right? No one buys off LinkedIn. This is what Chris and I were talking about the other day. Maybe if you're super
I tried
elite,
that too. No one
buys.
bothers. Like
Right.
they don't care.
Right. They don't. So
I know
but,
this.
but you become known, which is not bad. It's a referral business. So whatever business you get, you kick maximum ass with that job and make sure you're qualified to do it because it's that person. It's Coastin who's going to get you your next gig. He's going to tell someone, people will see opportunities and say, you know who you need to, I'll do it now. Now that I'm more clear on what you're doing, if someone comes to me and wants to somehow connect their products and their menus to their people and to their culture, look, am I the person for that? No, because I don't know shit about cocktails. Like I'm not the guy for that job, right? I'm a boring leadership management coach. You're a dope coach that knows all this cool stuff. Call Kat. So it's important that what you put out there gives great clarity to people as to what you do, but more important, just like the guest experience, it's the same story. You're creating a different type of customer experience that becomes your raving fans, and that's absolutely where the work will come from, but it's a slow build.
It is a slow build, and it's also hard because you say that we need to do this for love and not for the money, and I honestly have a different opinion. I think there is a sweet spot somewhere that you still do what you love, but I always say, like, I don't want to be a starving artist. I don't want to be a starving artist. I still want to be able to put bread on my table and cook and I don't want to be famous and rich. You ask me, like, rather be famous. Like, I never wanted to be famous. Like, that was never my goal. But still, like, financially to be all right, it's still, I think, a very important thing, because the moment you are struggling with finances, that stops your creativity, that stops your whatever you're doing. It just pulls you back in a way you don't even realize it, maybe.
That's right.
So
I'll tell you,
you cannot do it just for love, because you will starve.
love doesn't pay the bills, that's for sure. And I'll tell you what else it does. It's bad news. Is you get desperate for work and you accept jobs that you shouldn't otherwise be doing. And that's why people hate coaches and consultants, because out of desperation, because you can't pay with love, you say yes to jobs you're not qualified to do, you underperform, you overcharge, and you stop putting the customer first and you're putting yourself first naturally because you need to eat. And that's why it's such a damn tough business. It's a tough ass business,
And
which
I
is
still
why I'm
say no
excited
to
to have
things.
you on.
Yeah, I still say no. Sorry to interrupt. Like, I
That's
still
okay.
say
No.
no to things, but it is hard when you have a month when you were slow, and you know you need to pay the bills, and you need to pay the taxes, and you need to be all the things. Like, it's hard to say no, but it's like the same as with the other things in my personal life. Like, does it help me to get somewhere? No. It's just hard when I think it's very important who you surround yourself with. Like, that's also one of the reasons I come often to Bucharest, because I think Costin is like the only person, honestly, who believes in what I'm doing, because I change things for him, and then, like, he understands me. But I have to say, like, even like my wife's side family, for example, like, they just see numbers, like, do I bring a lot of money? No. Am I away? Yes. Like, then the business not working. Even though, and for them, maybe I'm running in spirals, but if you look not from top but from side, those spirals are going up, and I'm building something. But it's just the people don't see it, and that can also pull you down. So it's super important also, like, the people around you, there is at least someone that believes in you, or that understands you, that you can discuss with ideas, that they can challenge you and tell you, like, no, Katalin, you're wrong. This is so stupid. You don't see right. You don't see clear. So he will enlighten me, and then I will try it in a different way.
Well,
And
keep
then the personal, like a
partnering well.
partner as well.
Yeah, partner well. And if you find an opportunity, more advice you don't have to follow. But when you're coaching and you find yourself with an opportunity, but you're not expert, you don't have to detach from it. You can just partner with someone who is.
Yeah.
You'll have to split some of the proceeds, but it's better
Yeah.
than doing a
Yeah,
bad
I
job.
prefer that as well.
Yeah. And look, now you have a whole bunch more people. You have 5 more people that very much believe in you. And they're partners, right? So build your army. I tell people all the time, build your army.
Yeah.
And you call it collaboration, not partner, because collaboration's well on trend right now.
Yeah.
No, and I feel like, yeah, I feel like it takes a village, and it takes a village for everything to succeed, and you
Exactly.
find your own kind of people everywhere you go, and you will have your type, you will have people who will believe in you. I feel like just keep your, I think, sense of self. It's very tough. I know it's very easy to say and very tough to do, and we hear it from your journey, like, against all the odds, that what you've been able to do it's absolutely incredible to hear. But most of the time, in these scenarios, and I mean, how do you keep yourself motivated? What do you do? Like, where do you look when you think that your chips are down and no one's understanding? My concept is going to be that people need to feel this, and it's not a drink that I can present. It's not a pepper I can make people taste. This is beyond
Yeah.
that. How do you keep yourself, like, motivated in scenarios like that? What are you doing for that?
I just call myself a warrior princess since I was a little girl. I always read these storybooks where there was princes always fighting the dragons, and I always wanted to be like the warrior princess. Like, why cannot a princess go and fight the dragons and kill them, and then gain the money and the gold and whatever, It's like, so I just decided that I'm gonna be a warrior princess. And then I think that's for me, like, I literally wake up in the morning and I always tell myself, like, okay, even though I slept maybe 3 hours, actually last night I again slept 3 hours. I was working late, and I was like, I'm always telling myself, like, okay, and now I'm gonna put on my armor. So I am actually, like, literally, when I get dressed, I imagine and I'm putting on my the warrior princess armor, and then I go out, just tackle the day. But it is hard. Like, it is not so easy. And sometimes I speak about this because when I go to bar shows or somewhere to speak, I don't speak about drinks and sustainability. And I don't like to speak. I believe that people know how to make great drinks. They are smart enough to know the ingredients and the peppers and so on. It doesn't matter, maybe 10 or 100, it doesn't make a big difference, right? So I like to speak sometimes about my personal experiences, and I tell them about struggles because people want to be consultants for the money and so on. And I always tell them like, well, are you sure this is for you? Because there is a price. I mean, once you're a consultant, if you're maybe more ego oriented or maybe awards or certain things are very important for you, well, that's not your right job, because once you're a consultant, you are in the back. It's like a bit like a bar manager. For me, a great bar manager is someone that is like uplifting the team, and it's not about them anymore. It's about the whole team and the people. So yeah, it's
No, and yeah, I
okay.
mean, it's a constant balance that you have to play with, and it is in today's time definitely coming from. I feel like where you have come from to where you are today to where you're going. And you are a planner. You are somebody who likes to see where they're going, right? So there's always. I feel like I'm the opposite of that. I go with how things are going. I'm not somebody who is going to plan, and I like to see like this is what I want to do, but I mean, I like to visualize things more. So, I mean, I'm a very that person, but at the end of it, there's no list I have, there's no plan I have. I don't have a top 10, top 5 things, but we all do ourselves, right? You do you, and and I think that's how it works. So it can individually also work differently for different people.
Yeah, what works for me might not work for others, and vice versa. Like, it's just we need to know ourselves and know what works for us. And of course, like, I'm not saying like I'm always on the top. Like, I don't have a problem to tell people that, like, sometimes I struggle too, because when you are always surrounded with people that tell you like, oh, this is not gonna work, or this never gonna happen, and it's really influencing you. And when I spoke about how important are people around you, like, there is a saying that you are like the sum of the 5 people you are with. So now I look at you 5 and I'm like, okay, I'm somewhere the sum of you 5.
We're sorry.
But
Sorry about that.
No, we're not sorry.
Be careful what you wish for.
yeah, but
Hey,
it's important, and I try now, like, instead of just going, I don't want to just. I started going to a lot of bar shows, to bar events and guest bartendings, and I say no to a lot of guest bartending in events because it's not. I don't want to be famous. That's not my goal, to be known as a. I don't know. People already know me as a great bartender, and it's a challenge for me to make them understand. And I'm not just a bartender. Like, I need to do other things, and I want to grow. And also as an entrepreneur, like, I need to grow my mind. And that's like something I think the last 3 years, that's like the biggest achievement, to get in my mindset where I am now and to understand things in a different way. It's very different from bartending. And that's why I feel like, oh my God, like I'm at the so beginning of something, but I just believe in this. I really believe in this. And one day I'm gonna maybe meet you again and tell you like, okay, guys, this is what I did, and let me tell you about it.
Let me ask you a question, and real quick, when you said just being a great bartender, I mean, being a great bartender and your evolution, it's you're talking about the sum of 5 people you're with, but there are so many elements that cause you to be a great bartender. So when you're up there at a bar show or wherever, you're not just a great bartender, you're the sum of all these incredible parts that made you that great bartender, that puts you in front of 100 people. So don't forget, it's just not like, hey, I'm a great tennis player. I mean, imagine everything that went into Djokovic or Nadal, who caused them to be the great bartender. It's just phenomenal. People will have envy, and that's not what you're after, but people will have envy of your skill set and your passion and your ability to push through and be where you are. So when you're up there on a stage, and I'm not a bartender, but when you're up there, I mean, you're the shit, man. I mean, you earned it. So it's fantastic. But what I want to ask you is if you could go back to your 24-year-old self, what would you tell yourself? Anything that you would change differently or tell somebody at 24?
Yes, I would learn to ask for help faster because this is something growing up and not leaving my family and being always by myself, never having safety net. Like I just really learned to rely on myself. It was always just me against the world. And I just understood during the years that if we can find someone, it's not a shame to go and ask them questions. Ask them like, well, hey, what would you do in my position? Or it doesn't mean like you're not gonna go just to anyone. You go to someone who did it already, and you need to ask them for a help or advice. And for me, for example, again, it's Costin who I go to and I ask him the questions, and it helps me a lot. And this is one of the things because you always need to be having at least one person that is not like you, someone that's challenging you, because the two people thinking, it's like Steve Jobs and the other guy. Like if you look at these great companies, it's always two people that are like doing great things in different things that together that becomes a larger great thing, right? And they challenge each other and they see a bigger picture. So for me, like this, like ask for help partner or find my mentor. And when we speak about mentors, again, like don't choose your mentors as how famous they are or how great they are at something, but choose them as like how good they are as a person, how good they are with people, how do they treat people.
Right.
Because they can be the best in something, but they are not nice to their team or the people around them and so on, that they're not going to be a great mentor for you. So I would choose a mentor earlier and the right mentor earlier.
Awesome.
And ask for help.
Yeah, there's an expression, one is none, two is some. And so that's kind of helps sometimes to have another person.
Have you thought about, look, you're a book person, Kat, and Chris, who, by the way, recently wrote a book about menus. You may want to get that on Amazon.com.
Okay.
Have you thought about writing a book to get your ideas down and to get your concepts out there?
Honestly, I was thinking already once to write a book, not a cocktail book again. But then I am like, when I find it is like so complicated and so complex, like no one even would read it. That's how I feel. Like there is like a lot of things I had to grow through to get where I am. Like even with you, like I just spoke a little bit about it. It's not even touching. It's just like a tip of iceberg. So actually, when I go to seminars, I just put up, when I have to introduce myself, I put up like a bingo card. And in each bingo, there is, I don't know, world class competition, 50 best, moving again, restart, stand up again, dust myself, and then go, and so on. Like there are like things like that in the bingo. And I'm just telling people, literally, like, if you want to know more, just look. And if we have common things, we have a beer after. But like, I just feel like I shouldn't really write about this. I don't know, like, I don't want to write about this because I don't find it interesting. Maybe it's not helping people. Maybe there is not enough people who are wanting even to read it. If I would ever write about something, it would be rather maybe what I keep saying now, because I want to change the way we design experiences, bars, concepts, menus, and so on. Like I would at one point write, but for this, I need to have more achievements so that I can talk about it. I can show them like, hey, this is a client, I did this for them, or this is that, and this is how it worked and why it worked. But I'm too at the beginning of this to write a book. Like I'm just a girl again, the word again that is figuring it out. So how can I be the expert writing a book?
Because you just do it. And like, okay, so bear with me for a second. The first book I wrote because I own dive bars in Indiana, right? I had no awards. I still don't know how to make like any cocktails. I am the crappiest bartender on the planet. Dave is probably better than me. I know very little about anything, but I know how to run a dive bar pretty well. And so I got done with that and I said, okay, I'm going to forget what I'm doing. I want to write this all down for me. It ended up being a book. I put it out. And I had all those same thoughts you're saying right now, because when I wrote that book, I was 30, published, I was like 34, right? I said, I'm young. I have no clue what I'm doing. Why should anyone trust me? But I wrote this thing, so I'm just going to release it on Amazon because why not? Maybe somebody will buy it and find it useful. And they did. And I think that's really easy, especially in your 30s, because I'm actually a year younger than you, or a couple months younger than you.
You look a lot younger than him, though, Kat.
I know, right?
I'm a vampire from Transylvania. I'm literally next to the Dracula castle. That's the reason.
Yeah. You're not aging at all, and I look like I'm, Dave's age or something. But the thing is, don't undersell your own experience, right? Because even if you don't feel like you know a whole bunch, I promise you, especially just listening to you talk, you know a lot more than a lot of people. And a lot of people would find this really, really interesting. So don't undersell yourself. Don't feel like you're too young. Just take the swing. And if you put out a book and nobody buys it, which happened to me for years, right? I put out the book, nobody bought it, started a podcast, and some people started to buy it. I still don't sell very many books, right? I'll be real honest. But do it for yourself and don't care what anyone else says. Because, you think about like when you were talking about putting on your armor, it's the same sort of thing. If you want to do it, just do it. And so what if you're not an expert? You probably are going to say something interesting that connects with somebody. And if it helps at least a few people's lives be better, you've won.
Now, Kat, can I call it? It's called the imposter syndrome. So,
Yeah, I do have imposter syndrome. I always had it, honestly. And it's also cultural for me because in my culture, you cannot say good things about you because you are arrogant.
yeah.
You cannot praise yourself ever.
It's the same way in India as well. Like if I praise myself a little bit, it suddenly becomes like, she thinks whatever. So,
Yeah.
maybe it's in my head now, like, and I don't even know if it's real or not. So I feel like I hear you. And when you say that, I'm like, okay, this is exactly how I know so many people around me, including myself, who is constantly doubting. And I feel it is imposter syndrome.
But I think imposter syndrome is important. Like at the moment you have imposter syndrome, I think in a way it relates to success. Because the more you have it and you keep pushing to be better, at one point you're actually gonna even grow even more than you imagined because you just wanna be better. And it can be not just a negative thing. I think it's also a positive thing.
Yeah, but Kat, you have to realize you are an expert. Okay, you are an expert. That's a fact. Okay, that's not being arrogant. That's not bragging. That's a fact. You are an expert. You've been in this business for 20 years. You've earned it. All right, stand tall, head up, and just know that you are the shit. And yeah, be humble. That's fine. Don't be arrogant. But you're an expert. Just live it, man.
Be the princess, slay the dragon,
Yeah.
Kat.
Be the dragon. Fuck the princess.
Yeah, isn't she? Aren't we talking about Xena? Xena the princess?
I
It's
think
true.
the thing with imposter syndrome, Kat, I have imposter syndrome as well too. Minakshi, did you just say that you suffer from it as well?
Yeah.
It tends to raise its head more in females than it does in males as well. That's one of the keys about it. It doesn't help working in an industry that we've chosen, an industry that's very male dominated as well. But I think with imposter syndrome, it drives you further and makes you want to sort of prove yourself a bit more. So I've been sitting in boardrooms and I'm the only female in the room, and I've years of experience, and inside my head I'm going, why are they listening to me? Why are they listening to me? I earned the seat at the table, and if you earn the seat at the table, then you get your warrior princess on, and then you just
I'll do my own table, not gonna earn.
Yeah.
I always say, how many they closed they closed the doors in front of me, and I always tell them like, okay, no worries, I'm gonna go in through the roof,
Yeah,
not the
exactly.
window, through the roof, and I still go.
Yeah. I really relate to your warrior princess thing because I am a warrior princess. I have the warrior because Aoife was a warrior princess in Irish mythology, and
Okay.
from a very very earlier age, was it metamorphic? You put it in your head and you're like, yeah, no, I will become the warrior princess. So I've always had the warrior princess thing. I try to teach my little girls that as well too. You need to be the warrior princess. Go out and kick ass.
I think we found the title for the podcast. So yeah.
Transylvania Dragon Slayer.
Cat.
What's your
Do you
plan?
want to know who I am when I'm not a warrior princess?
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm a raccoon.
I like that.
I'm small, I'm chubby, I sometimes eat junk, I'm cute but can fuck shit up.
Yeah.
I have ADHD, so I'm always like globbing my hands and always doing something. So yeah, I'm a raccoon.
Oh, well, there you go.
Very
That's the title
clever.
of your book, "Raccoon the Warrior Princess" in one move.
This is more
Yeah.
like our
That
chat,
could be a really good book title.
digressing from topic
Yeah.
and going haywire. This is more like our chat, completely digressing.
Yeah, completely.
Six steps
Well,
to
we're talking
warrior
about, look, Kat, I think too, here's a closing remark from me on I think, so for a book, Minakshi said something to me a couple episodes ago that's bothered me, which was, she asked me about the book and she said, hey, he's writing a book, a vanity project. Isn't it just a big vanity project? And I was like, oh shit, isn't it? Like, I'd never been asked that before. And it started, I was like, did I? Like, why do I write books? And truthfully, I write to help people. Like, that's what I aspire to do. Chris tells the truth. Like, we've been fortunate in some book sales and other book sales not. But you have the ability to change lives with what you know. I mean, think about if you had gotten your hand on a book written by the future you when you were bartending at 18, how that may have changed your life, how it may inspire people. So in the same way that you say, hey, when we give great experiences to others in a bar and restaurant, it's not about us being on stage. It's about surprising and delighting other people and giving them these writing a book's the same. It's not about you. It's about taking what you know and helping other people that may in some small way relate to your journey. Like Cliff refuses to read my books. It's heartbreaking, but I feel like sometimes Cliff will read one page and you just get one thing out of that book that you carry with you for a lifetime and you go, you know what? It was worth it. I happen to believe, by the way, I'm very proud of you. I love watching your growth. I think you have a tremendously unique story, and I think there's other people out there that would benefit from it. I'm not trying to force you to write a book. What I reject is the idea that you don't deserve to, you don't know enough to. Like, if that's the reason why no, then that's bullshit. If you just don't want to do it, fine, like no problem. Don't do what you don't want to do. But it's a great way. I think you have a unique perspective. I think you're cutting edge on some stuff. I think you can help people, and that's enough. That's more than enough reason to write a bad book that someone might accidentally buy and learn something from. Go do it and see what happens.
The raccoon from raccoon to warrior princess.
Yeah, there you go. Like, you can do it. So, and those are my closing remarks. I'll leave it to my partners to do their
It
bit.
can also be quite cathartic as well too for yourself. And like, as you said earlier, it's like here and then it's here and then you don't know. And, so like actually writing the book and getting it out could actually be quite cathartic in the process.
So we are coming short on time. And Dave said he gave us his closing remark. Does anyone else have closing remarks they want to throw out there before we let everyone go for the day?
So it was really nice to meet you, Kat, and hear your story. Definitely be looking you up and recommending you to clients and stuff.
Thank you so much. It was nice to meet you too. It's like I really like hanging out with you. Maybe one day I can just be the sixth, just to hang out with you and just to see
You can
more.
hang out with us anytime. That's for sure. We're all available.
Yeah,
We
we'll
don't
send you
really-
the link. Yeah, we'll just send you the link. Just join in.
Yeah. We wanna try and do a party of 6 at the next India bar show, eh? Live in person.
No, I must just add to, you're an amazing human being. And I think I always knew that because I read about you when Dave wrote about you, and that's when I first heard about you. And, we connected on Instagram and stuff. And I'm so happy that we could get to do this. And you're an inspiration for everyone around the world. And I feel like you should tell your story. Absolutely. Do not, vanity or no vanity, please just go with, you have so much to share with the world. It's absolutely insane that you've done what you've done and, you've picked up yourself and restarted this whole thing, traveled the world. I mean, you have done what a lot of people can only imagine to do. So I feel like you have to tell your story. Absolutely. And I'm so glad we have a little part to play and we hopefully 7 more people will hear us, and then yeah, 7 more people will know your story. Don't think about this as a business thing, right? You're not getting more business out of
No,
it.
I'm not. Actually, I'm not. I honestly, like, I really only came because of Dave, because I know him, and he asked me, and then I later found out like who everyone else is, and I'm like, oh, cool. Like, I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah.
It's nice, and also it's nice to see your opinions. Maybe at this point, maybe it's exactly what I needed.
No, absolutely. And at the Mirror Bar show, should I carry Alfonso's for you, or should I carry peppers for you? Better than mango season.
Peppers, please bring me some peppers.
Amazing. So I'll see you in 2 weeks with some peppers. I'll give you some really
Yeah.
special peppers.
See you in 2 weeks. Looking forward to meet you in person as well.
Absolutely.
I
Fantastic.
told you already, if you see a chubby raccoon, that's gonna be
Yeah.
me. That's my problem with the standing up tall. Like, I'm not tall, I'm 160. So like, it's very short, 1 meter 60.
No worries.
So I cannot stand up tall. I'm short.
I think you stand tall enough. So yeah, I'm very
The
happy.
hair adds,
You
you
and-
know.
Exactly. I can't do that.
That's why I say it.
So be proud of where you've come from and where you are right now, and we'll be following you for sure.
Thank you.
And Kat, thanks for being here again. And this has been a fantastic conversation. I hope everybody that's listening enjoyed the conversation. Make sure if you like this, you like, subscribe, leave a review, go share this with other people. We are trying to just get some good vibes out into the industry. So go share this, give it to your friends, like, subscribe, leave a review, please, so that we can get out there a little bit more. But thank you all for listening or watching this month's Party of Six, and we will see you again next month.
Thank you.